Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I will be providing a long-term outlook on Bitcoin. As we head into the new year, I did want to discuss my general expectations regarding what 2023 could have in store for us, and ultimately what I am expecting or at least planning for with Bitcoin into the coming year. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. So what I really want to focus on in this video is the cyclical nature of Bitcoin and how we typically go through these 4-year cycles where we have these 3-year long bull markets followed by a 1-year long bear market. And this trend is actually best illustrated here on the monthly chart. So I'm going to switch over the time frame where you can basically just see that Bitcoin has gone through these periods of bull and bear markets. So if we take the date and price range tool, you can see this bear market took Bitcoin down over 14 months, about 85%. And then from there, we had this new bull market of around 35 months, so almost 3 years, taking it back up around 11,000%. And just continuing that process, another 12-month long bear market. And then the most recent bull market brought us up over a period of around 35 months as well, taking us to that all-time high up 2,100% off the lows. And since that point, we have been in a decline, down about 13 months so far, around 77%. So when you look at it on the monthly, there's really nothing out of the ordinary here with the longer term trend. This is just what we can expect based on the cyclical nature of Bitcoin. And we are getting to that point where historically we have seen the bear market ultimately scratch out some sort of bottom, have some sort of rounding base and accumulation, and eventually start to reverse. So I do want to switch the time frame back over here to a weekly and then just compare these bear markets by looking at this indicator where I've basically aligned each of the bear markets to a single peak with about 20 weeks so you can see that run up. And then we've just extended them out so that they all have sort of the same date and price match, so we can see how this bear market has compared in relation to the previous two. So let me just get this on the full panel. And the current market cycle, the current bear market we're in, is going to be this blue line. You can see that November 2021 peak right here took us up to that valuation. And ever since then, we have been in that steady decline. The yellow line is going to be the 2018 bear market with this last move, the 6 to 3K drop, being right here in December of 2018, and then the 2015 market cycle where we had that big double bottom in August and January of 2015, which is going to be the white line. And this also does a great job at illustrating how we really haven't seen something atypical for Bitcoin in terms of a bear market. And this chart really does suggest a much more positive outlook onto 2023 as compared to this year, where we might be starting to find out some sort of longer term cycle low, some sort of bottom, where we would see a reversal to this trend, a reversal to this bear market, and ultimately it would be some sort of accumulation year if Bitcoin were to have that same trajectory as the previous two market cycles. And while that certainly doesn't have to be the case, certainly Bitcoin doesn't have to just repeat itself every 4 years. Looking at the historical moves for Bitcoin and its longer term trend over the last decade or more really is a much more compelling case than fighting the trend that Bitcoin has been in its entire history since its launch. And these previous market cycles and the historical returns with Bitcoin also do a great job at presenting what is possible with Bitcoin, what is on the table, and what could we actually see into the next few years with some sort of potential reversal in a bull market. And that's telling us that, based on what we've seen in the previous market cycles, from the point that the all-time high occurred, we could see a new all-time high formed by about 156 weeks out if we're looking at the 2018 bear market, and 166 weeks out if we're looking at the 2015 bear market. And while those are certainly far away, you can see that with Bitcoin, if we were to take where we are today and measure that out as some sort of gauge where that could end us up, we could see some sort of new all-time high formed towards the end of 2024, which would give us a lot of time for accumulation and consolidation in 2023, where we might see some longer-term base start to form, similar to how we had that in 2015 for Bitcoin, as well as 2018 and 2019. And again, we don't have to repeat the same process every few years with a new cycle. And we've already seen several iterations of that where we've basically had different ways of forming that bottom. In 2015, we basically just consolidated in this very tight range. With the white line, you can see we just had this very structurally significant level of support and resistance. And then when we exited that range, it was more of a big breakout. Whereas with 2018 and 2019, we had this massive run up off those lows, all the way up to that $14,000 region where Bitcoin went up almost 4x, and then it came back down to put a longer term higher low in March of 2020. So the point here is that even if we were to have that same pattern of a cycle taking us up with another 3-year bull run, it would not necessarily mean that it would look any similar to the previous 2 market cycles, as each cycle has its own very unique and distinct characteristics that really set it apart from the previous 2. And that's actually something that we've seen time and time again, even with the peaks, where if I go back here to the chart with Bitcoin, we have very different peaks throughout Bitcoin's entire history. This 2013 market cycle had a double top where we basically had this first massive peak, a big drawdown, and then a run later up, putting this new grander peak in. And then with the 2017 cycle, it was just really one very smooth and consistent run up, almost in a parabola-like fashion, with the rate of change increasing each step of the way until that trend eventually broke. And then this most recent bull market really just ended on this massive distribution phase, the double top as well, where we had that first peak in April with the sentiment reaching that all-time high, and then eventually the price peaking a few months later in November of 2021. So what I'm really trying to say is that even if we were to have that accumulation, we wouldn't necessarily have to have the same thing as 2018 and 2019 or the same thing as 2015 and 2016. And that could just bring us a lot of surprises into the coming year. But overall, I would expect it to be an accumulation year where potentially we form some sort of rounded base, print some sort of longer term cycle low, and begin the beginnings of a new uptrend, a new bull run, taking us all the way back up to those all-time highs a few years out from then. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.